Oh, yeah. Sunset Rewind back at you. 2025 season. We have the Week 0 games in the books. All 7 teams played. We went 6-1 this week. Great start to the season for the Sunset Rewind teams.
Should have been 7-0. There's a heartbreaker that got away at the end. We're going to cover all these games. But, yeah, great start. It's looking good for the teams we cover. Let's get into this thing. I'm ready to rock.
Starting off with Huntington Beach then?
Yeah, let's head on over to Orange High School, a battle of a couple top county quarterbacks. But actually, defense would get things started first for Huntington Beach. The offensive line didn't get the memo that the ball was snapped, so Gavin Seguin's probably going to get the easiest sack of his life. But a sack to sack doesn't matter. And then, where have we heard this before? Edmonds to Troy Foster. On the post, gets separation, basically just walks into the end zone. So after one quarter, Huntington Beach was up 7-0. Again, they'd continue to add pressure. Nathan Villanueva would go up the gut to give them a 14-0 lead in the second quarter. However, Orange would stick around. Star Thomas, their top quarterback, would find Adam Maldonado. Gets past the defense, shows off his arm. Good arm for a lefty. Would get into the end zone. So, Huntington Beach trying to pull away. It's only 14-6. That would be the score at the break. They would miss the PAT. More defense setting the tone. This time again, Gavin Seguin getting sack number 2. And then special teams. Nico Lachey would block the punt, try to scoop and score. Couldn't get in the end zone, but it wouldn't matter because a couple plays later, Edmonds is going to roll out to his right and find Steel Kurtz, the man of steel, in the end zone, extending their lead to 21-6. Now it'd be the defense's turn for Huntington Beach. Orange trying to get back into it. But again, Gavin Seguin, sack number 3. Now he's on pace to have 30 sacks at the end of regulation, or at the end of the regular season. So looking good. And then, again, Villanueva would find the end zone. He'd bounce outside, gets the break. And so now Huntington Beach goes up 28-6 after an 11-play, 70-yard drive. But Orange would hang around. Maldonado, again, would catch a touchdown pass from Thomas. So that's as close as it would get. It'd be 28-12. And then Huntington Beach would start to pull away for good. I want you to watch Edmonds here. In the pocket, should be sacked, but he doesn't quit on the play. He's pumping those legs. Good effort, a little stiff arm there, getting down the sidelines. Get out of bounds. You don't need to risk it for 1 extra yard. And then they'd finally put it away. This would be the last score of the game. Guess who? Edmonds to Foster. On the slant, stiff arm, into the end zone. Jaden Stone would get the PAT. The final score would be 35-12. Huntington Beach would go on to win the game and start off 1-0.
Great victory for the Oilers there. The big question going into the season for me with the Oilers is we know that they have a vibrant passing attack. But as you always say, the run game sets up the pass game, right? So what are the Oilers looking at as far as running back goes this year?
Well, it's kind of funny because everybody focuses so much on the quarterback, it's almost like you forget the run. So you got guys like Villanueva who, can keep the defense honest. So if you want to focus on the quarterback, fine, they can pound you. Remember, Coach Pope is an offensive line guru. Mm-hmm. He's got those guys thinking nasty, physical, tough type of football. So they can hurt you a lot of ways on offense. They dropped, 38 points. And that was a week 1 game. That's always tricky. It's usually the offense that's behind the defense in terms of maturation and getting an identity. So for Huntington Beach, I thought that was a great, solid start on the road against a solid football team. Good stuff. How about you, Teran? What do you have to think?
Well, my biggest thing for Huntington Beach going into this season is how would their defense respond when the offense would be able to put points on the board? Would it be a high-scoring affair? Would there be would the defense be able to show up? And I thought the defense did a really good job for the most part against a talented Orange team. I thought that was going to be a concern. I thought this was going to be a little bit more high-scoring, but I was impressed by Huntington Beach. Let's see how they do this week on the road against Trabuco Hills.
Another big test for them, a game they lost last year. So stay tuned. Huntington off to a good start, 1-0.
All right, let's stay in Huntington Beach and see how the Marina Vikings did this week.
Another Thursday night game. This was a game you were at.
Yes.
Got a little insight. We're actually going to pick up action in the second half. It was 0-0 at the end of the half. Both teams actually did a good job moving the ball to the 30, but they just couldn't, turnover on downs, missed field goals, just, one mistake after another, and neither team could really take advantage. So let's start in the third quarter. 4th down, Marina's going to punt the ball, and it actually gets blocked. So Foothill would have a huge opportunity to get the first score of the game. The question is, could they take advantage? And I'll give you the answer in a second. It would be no, because they would stop them on downs. They would settle for a field goal attempt, but Alberto Herrera would get the blocks. So this game in the third quarter would still stay 0-0, just a defensive battle. This time, Foothill would get another opportunity, and they would take advantage of it. Aiden Faraj would get a 20-yard touchdown run, giving them a 7-point lead. So, points were at a premium at this point. So 7-0 could have been enough. However, Marina would battle back. This time, the line would start to shine. Sam Ramos up the gut for 14 yards, getting a good push. More Sam Ramos. This time, 16 yards. He's going to take it outside, turns it up. Nice block by that tackle. So the line's starting to shine. They're getting a push. Third quarter in, still down 7-0, but the drive would continue. Finally, Francis Saporito, the quarterback, would call his own number. He'd follow the line and shine all the way into the end zone. So just like that, we've got a 7-7 ball game in the fourth quarter. Now, Foothill would respond. They would drive down to about the 25-yard line, an opportunity to take the lead with a field goal or a touchdown. But how about my man? Francis is the quarterback. He was not on this play. It was Braden O'Rourke, the senior linebacker, who would get the, I'm saying, why is Francis in the defense? Would get the interception, get the ball back to the offense, and then my man, Francis, would drop back, nothing there, don't do anything stupid, so he's going to tuck it under and run, showing off his speed, showing off his athleticism, really showing off his vision, running over defenders, spinning out of tackles, still going, doesn't want to quit on the play, and then one play later, he's going to throw off his arm. Francis Saporito is going to drop back. Remember this guy? Does this name sound familiar? Honeycutt. Carson Honeycutt on the post pattern. They would take a 13-7 lead late in the game, but Foothill would battle back. They'd get all the way down to the 35-yard line, down 6. If they get a touchdown here and make the PAT, they're going to win it. Last play of the game, quarterback's got a pretty good arm, heaves it into the end zone. If they catch it, they're going to win it, but they don't. Marina bats the ball down, goes on to win 36, a defensive shootout, a defensive slugfest. And props to Marina, 1-0, and I picked against them. I think you did too, Teran. They punched up, and they got a knockout. That was a heck of a game, we'll talk about this more in the fan zone, but I was really impressed with what Marina was able to do.
Great
Joel,
game. Being there, it was 0-0 at halftime and 7-0 at the end of the third. And fourth quarter, Francis Saporito put that team on his back. His leadership was just amazing. It's a team victory, but the quarterback has to be the guy to step up. And then we learned that we have another Honeycutt to follow. Carson Honeycutt really stepped up at receiver. Looks like he's going to be a great target for Francis all season this year. Great win for the Marina Vikings. Way to start off 1-0, and I picked them, so I'm very happy about that as well.
No, you stepped up in your pick. I wonder if Coach T is going to encourage those parents to have like one more kid, because they seem to be doing well for that Marina. You'd have to wait 18 years, but anything's possible. All right, Teran, what do you think?
Well, you talked about it last week. You said that Marina's punching above their weight, and honestly, I was just overall impressed with them. And Foothill's a good team. Let's not get it twisted. They're a fantastic team. I know they have a new head coach and a little bit of a new regime.
Hey,
but
semifinals last year, lost by 3, could have won it all.
to Palos Verdes, and yeah, this was a very good win. Like, this might be the thing that puts Marina truly on the map and makes them true threats in the Lambda League. So
yes.
I know it's just 1-0 to start the season, but Marina can't get too overconfident. They just got to keep grinding and keep on doing their own thing.
All right.
Watch the film, move on to the next opponent. But you're right, when you're trying to build a program, you're going to have to start, taking on those next level teams. They did that, they got the win. So this is part of that building process. So shout out to the coaches and the players and the fans. Life is good in Marina.
So let's head on over to Fountain Valley, where the Mitch Olson era officially began on Friday.
It has officially begun. Fountain Valley was home hosting Ocean View. And really, Ocean View came out and really tried to hammer and punch and ground and pound. And they did. The first drive of the game, actually, Trevor Laupo, the running back from Ocean View, would score after a long physical drive. So at the end of one, it was actually Ocean View up on Fountain Valley, 7-0. But the Barons would come back. Isaac Martinez would get a big run up the middle, being patient, getting that ground game going. And then from there, Raymond Dillon would score on the keeper, tie the game up after a 15-yard run, 7-7. All right. In the second quarter, Fountain Valley would drive, couldn't get in the end zone, but Jack Chavez would kick the field goal. So 10-7, about to go into halftime. Ocean View would drive in the closing seconds. They're going to try to field goal to tie the game up at 10-10. However, special teams is a part of football. Jack Chavez is going to block it, scoop and score into the end zone. So instead of being 10-all at halftime, it's 17-7. Fountain Valley's got all the momentum. A huge play on special teams, making a big difference. So third quarter, Fountain Valley D is going to set the tone. I want you to watch Matt Samata coming off the edge. Boom! Push the running back on his back, literally. A.D. Cleater gets the offense fired up because they would get the ball back, and Isaac Combs, the new quarterback, would find Raymond Dillon on the screen pass. Nice blocking downfield. Good pickup for Fountain Valley as they would drive closer and closer. Couldn't get into the end zone, but they're certainly in the red zone. And from there, Isaac Combs would take advantage. He's going to call his own number. He's going to pull it. He reads that defensive end, biting on the run action, takes it to the outside. Good read, gets into the end zone. So now Isaac Combs will lead his team to 24-7 score. Ocean View would try to score late to get back in this thing, but a strip by the defense, Fountain Valley would recover, ending any chance for Ocean View to come back. And now it's getting late in the fourth quarter. Ocean View has to become one-dimensional. And when you know a team's got to throw, the people who like that the most, the defensive line, because they can just tee off. And there was pretty much this all fourth quarter. So Fountain Valley, under Mitch Olson, gets a big win, 1-0. Got to be feeling good as they head into, I believe it's Esperanza next week.
Great start for
Thoughts?
the Barons there. The Mitch Olson era 1-0. Awesome. Jack Chavez. I'm watching the highlights. I can't ever recall, or when's the last time, I mean, think about this. You saw a guy kick a field goal and then also have a touchdown on special teams. That's pretty remarkable.
He's in the running for my player of the week. I'm not
Right.
going to reveal it yet. That's fan zone, but he certainly had a heck of a game, and shout out to him and the whole team. You know, you get
Great
a
job,
new
Barons.
and by the way, you get a new coach. You got to learn a whole new offense, a whole new defense. You know, Mitch Olson's come with a lot of experience. He's a
Yeah.
CIF champion, so they're in good hands. But you know, they're starting the building process too, and this is one way to
Great
get
start.
that thing to the next level. Teran?
Yeah, my big thing for Fountain Valley is how would they respond following giving up the first score of the game? And they got punched in the mouth early to a T, but they were able to bounce back and shut Ocean View out the rest of the way. And keep in mind, Ocean View does return a good amount of its team from last year. Fountain Valley lost a good chunk of its team from last year, but Fountain Valley didn't panic. They were able to respond quite nicely, and I think this is going to be the start of something special. But to a T, I think we need to see how Fountain Valley can do against Esperanza and going forward.
Yeah, that's a great point, because we kind of thought the same thing with Marina. Like, you know, some teams are very senior heavy and senior talented, and when you lose those kind of guys, you wonder, can they fill those shoes? But Marina and Fountain Valley did a great job, and that's why they're 1-0. So, and by the way, I want to give a special shout out to Jill Elroy. She was sending me updates, detailed updates. Like all this stuff I was talking about on the show was because of what she was sending me. Sometimes it's hard to read those numbers. So thank you so much for keeping me updated, and helps us put a better product out for the fans. So
One of the best Fountain Valley parents we've ever encountered.
she's still running
Absolutely.
strong. She's
Yeah.
at all the games. Her kids are gone and moving on, and she's still there. So thank you. Okay.
All right, let's go over to the harbor.
Heartbreak City. Teran, you traveled with the team on a Thursday. This was a half-hour delayed kickoff because of the heat index. Was it hot?
Yeah, when we got there it was like 100 degrees, and by the time kickoff,
AstroTurf too, right?
yeah, and by the time kickoff arrived, I think it was like in like the mid 80s.
All right, let's just get through this. This was a great football game. You know, this is one of those things where Harbor can watch the film and make some corrections, but sometimes there's bad luck, sometimes there's just dumb luck. Jake Muir is going to drop back to find his receiver on the slant. He's wide open. The defensive lineman gets a hand on it, falls into the lap of Caleb Rotnick. What a name for a defensive lineman. So it's technically a pick six, but just really bad luck for Harbor. They're down 6-0 early. The PA2 would be blocked. But Jake Muir would recover, showing off his running skills. We know he can throw the ball, but he can run it too. Doesn't quite get back into the end zone, but they would be able to finish the drive. This time a little pitch and catch. Jake Muir's going to find Shane McKibben on the slant wide open, just jukes the defender. So Harbor actually goes up in the first quarter 7-6. However, Mesa would respond. They had a running back. Teran, tell me about this guy. He was just a monster. Daniel Ritchie up the gut, looking like Larry Zonka. Just, he finds that hole and he hits it. He looked like he was a load to bring down. On to the second quarter, more Murrieta. This time the quarterback off play action. Coleman Jones would find Adam Rivas in the corner of the end zone. So they would go up 20-7. Looks like they're starting to pull away. But the Harbor defense would get a turnover. Cruz Marsala would get the turnover, recover it, setting up the offense. This time the big dog, Blend, Baranowski, banging through, finding that hole, trying to truck defenders. I would have given it to him. They ruled him a little bit short, but it doesn't matter because when you got that guy in the backfield, get into that T formation, they do. Guess who? Ben Baranowski following the big hogs. Boom, gets up in there. So 20-14, Harbor's right back in this. But here was probably the biggest play of the game. Heartbreak City. Let me fast forward this a little bit. The ensuing kickoff, I think y'all know what's coming. Kickoff return. Daniel Page just goes right up the middle. You got to squeeze. You got to break down. And just like that, I don't want to say it ripped the heart out of a Harbor, but it should have been a 6-point game at halftime. So they go into halftime up 26-14. Harbor wouldn't lay down, though. They'd come back again. Jake Muir would find Shane McKibben on a 46 bomb. Nice arm, nice throw and catch. So once again, Harbor's back in this. Third quarter, we're heading into the fourth. More Harbor this time. Play action. 26 on Jake Muir to, was that Blaukamp? Teran, you can correct me.
Yes, that is Jet Blaukamp.
The other Dutchman from Australia would get the go-ahead touchdown. So now it's 27-26. Good guys. Unfortunately, late in the game, up late, this would be the play that cost him. Coleman Jones to Chris Flores. He's going to hit him in the flat. Missed tackle. And they would score with just seconds left. That would be the final. Murrieta Mesa would win 33-27. A good game. Sort of, minus the mistakes. A game certainly Harbor could have won. They were in position to win. Dole, why don't you go first? Teran, you were there. You can talk about it, but I want to get Dole's reaction.
Yeah, heartbreaking loss. And, I did talk to the Newport Harbor coaches on Friday. They were at the CDM game. And, they were, upset, but, they're regrouping like, great coaching staffs do. So they're going to be prepared for this week. And I think they're going to win this week. We'll talk more about that in the fan zone. But you brought up a good point. There was a Sunset Rewind team last year that had a couple heartbreaking losses to start the season 0-2, and it ended up pretty well for them. You compared Newport Harbor this year to possibly Edison last year. You get those heartbreaking losses, and they kind of motivate you and, kind of inspire you to, take the next step. So I'm hoping you're right with that assertion that, Newport Harbor says, okay, we lost a tough one, but we still got a lot of football to play. We can still win the league championship. We can still make a deep run in CIF. And I think the Sailors will bounce back. And this is going to be, they're going to learn from this and overcome this adversity.
Touche. Go ahead, Teran.
Yeah, Newport Harbor, don't get me wrong. They responded really well in the second half, nearly pitched a shutout in the second half, but they got to make those big plays. They allowed a 90-yard drive on Murrieta Mesa's final drive. And give credit to Murrieta Mesa. They made the big plays when it mattered. They had 3 fourth down conversions converted. And that last play on Murrieta Mesa's drive was just, you got to make those tackles. And it wasn't just defense, offense. Jake Muir was great and all, but the offensive line just did not give him a little bit more time in the pocket. And then special teams, giving up that touchdown was just a massive momentum breaker right there. So overall, Newport Harbor's really got to clean up a lot of things going forward because they cannot afford to go 0-2. If they go 0-2, then it's an uphill climb because
they still have Bravo League play. There's a lot of big games ahead of them. They need to start racking up wins early on.
Yeah, otherwise it's going to be like last year where they finished under 500 outside of the top 3 in the Bravo League, and then they missed the postseason. So I'm not going to say that this loss was bad, but it definitely could have been avoided. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. You just cannot give up 30 points to teams like that. And they got another tough test against Lancaster, who dropped 40 and lost by 2. Did Bishop?
How was
or
the
did-
refereeing? Was
yeah.
there any hometown cooking? I don't want to make excuses, but I was watching Huddle, and a couple of those things, I'm like, wait a minute. Did you notice it from the stands, or was I just being a little too critical because I'm biased?
I don't think there was anything too much.
Okay.
I don't think there was too much home cooking. A few people told me that there was some missed calls against Murrieta Mesa. There were some missed calls against Newport.
So it's consistent.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, what time did you get home that night?
I got home at about midnight.
Boy, a half-hour delay, a Thursday night game. I can't imagine going to school the next day was a good time. But hey, man, the cool thing about football is you get next week to recover. So you get an extra day to get ready. They'll amend that loss.
Thanks, Teran, for doing that, going out there. I know that's a long day for you, but we appreciate that.
The Admiral road tripping it.
Yeah, no
All right.
problem.
Let's see
Let's
what
move on.
the defending CIF and state champion Edison Chargers.
They call it Friday Night Lights. It's not even dark till the third quarter with these week 0 games.
Yeah.
So let's call this Thursday afternoon sort of games. Anyway, you're right. The defending CIF champs were at home against Clovis West, a team that upset them last year by 1 point. A little different this year. My man, Sam Thompson, off play action, throws a nice ball to a new wideout. Matthew Au, it's A-U-A-U. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Sam will correct me. I'll be at this game next week. Nice ball, nice throw and catch on the first drive. The drive would continue. This time, Sam Thompson would find Aiden am I ever going to get that guy's name right? Aiden DeGiacomo on a 15-play, 10-minute drive. They pretty much dominated the whole quarter. Would go up 7-0. That's how the first quarter would end. They'd get the ball back, and again, another long, methodical drive. This time, Sam Edmondson on the Wildcat would keep it. Remember, they did this a lot last year with Julius Gillick. Keep it going. They couldn't quite finish off the drive and get into the end zone. But before that, Sam Thompson back to work. He's going to find his wideout. He's make Tony Godinez. He's going to make a one-handed catch, get them into the red zone. Ultimately, they'd have to settle for a Cruz Bradshaw field goal, who'd put it through the middle. So Edmondson would go up 10-0. And before half, Clovis West trying to get back in it. But I want you to watch number 30. Linebacker Jude Gonterman's kind of spying the quarterback. Finally hunts him down, brings him down. So at halftime, Edison was up 10-0 in full control. What's crazy about this was the defense basically all night was just rushing 3. And they were still getting pressure on the quarterback. So second half, Clovis West trying to get into it. And Blaze Burwell's going to get the pick. Can't quite take it all the way, but he's going to bring that ball down to near the 20-yard line, set up the offense in the end zone. Clovis West, to their credit, would stop Edmonton, have to settle for a field goal. So once again, Cruz Bradshaw would make the field goal. So now Edison's up 13-0, still in control, but can't quite put it away until Sammy Edmonston's going to take it up the gut, breaking tackles, getting a good push by the offensive line. The drive would continue into the fourth quarter. Sam Edmonston on Wildcat, up the middle, doesn't quit, bounces it, keeps those knees pumping, is going to break it to the outside. So now Edison's up 20-0, about to put the game away. But Clovis West would make a late rally comeback. They'd actually pull within 20-13 when Jamar Howard would find Major Lee down the middle, out of the backfield, gets a little space, runs over defender. So now it's 20-13 in a game in which Edison's really dominated. Probably should have been up 28-0. It's coming down to an onside kick. Got to recover it. Gets the bounce, but Caden Lowe brings it down. So again, a game that was completely dominated by Edison. You allow another team to hang around. They had a chance late, but a great game overall. From there, Edison would recover and take a knee, run out the clock. The thing that stood out to me is I thought they were very efficient on offense. Could have done a better job in the red zone, but again, week 1 we talked about that. In the defense all night long, basically rushed 3 and covered 8. That's hard to find receivers downfield when you're getting pressure with 3 rushers. So a good solid win. They were able to make up last year's, kind of a payback game, and they're off to a great start.
A couple things I noticed. Same numbers, different faces. Matthew Ahu, number 81, Mason York, right?
Remember Mason?
Edmondson, number 9, of course, Julius Gillick. Mm-hmm. And then the thing, you just said it, that really was impressive watching that film. They're rushing 3 guys, against 5 blockers, and they're still getting to the quarterback. So that D line, what a job they did for Edison.
Well, think about this. If you keep it back in, it's really, you got double teams across the board. It's 3 on 6,
Right.
and you're still pressuring the quarterback. So
Those guys are just all over the place.
well, they did a great job defensively. And so, yeah, good. And by the way, I got to give a quick shout out to him before I get to you. Sam Thompson's my guy this year. With all these new numbers, I'm going to Max Preps. I don't recognize anybody. So I had to call him last night. I actually sent him a text, and he gave me all the numbers and all the names. So thank you, Sam. I'm going to be harassing you all year long. I hate bugging the coaches on Saturdays for names. I know they're busy, so I'll pick on the kids. So thank you, Sammy T. Teran, you're up.
Well, I will just say, Edison, they looked good through the first 3 quarters. Give a lot of credit to Clovis West. They were not going to back down. Obviously, if they were to go all the way from Clovis all the way down to Huntington Beach, that would have just been a massive disappointment to just not put up a fight or to get shut out. So credit to them, but Edison didn't back down, and that's kind of the thing about this Edison team. They don't back down, and even when teams are starting to make a comeback, they're able to answer the bell and whatnot, even with new fresh faces. So Edison 1-0. They look good, and I had a feeling, I had this strange inkling that this was going to be a close game, but Edison, they're 1-0. Got a big test against Yorba Linda, who shut out Mayfair at SoFi Stadium last Thursday.
Yeah, I think, I was going to say, Dole, real quick. They weren't looking past Clovis West for Yorba Linda because they lost to them last year. So that was almost a good thing in hindsight because this was like payback. So they were focused on these guys. But you're right, Yorba Linda, that's a big one. There's going to be a lot of people at that game, probably all the media. It's a Thursday night game. So if you want to go watch some good football, I would encourage you to go to Huntington Beach High School and check out Edison, Yorba Linda next week. It's going to be a barn burner.
The defense of the title has officially begun for the Edison Chargers.
Let's go.
Well, let's move on to another team that's had a lot of success in CIF in the years past, the Corona Del Mar Sea Kings. I had the honor of being at this game Friday night, and boy, was that a fun atmosphere.
This was probably the easiest game I've ever broke down because it was over at halftime. This is just a highlight reel, so just sit back, relax. Not a lot of drama, just a lot of highlights. Brady Annette, the returning starting quarterback's era has officially begun. Throwing off his arm would find Garrett James, one of his money targets, down the near sideline, would set them up. We're about 20 seconds in the game, so right away, they're setting the tone. From there, Brady Annette would find another receiver, this time David Soto. Nice ball, nice catch. So 2 throws to the near sideline, just puts it on the money. That's why he's one of the top 150 quarterbacks in the county. Of course, he's got his brother who's playing football at Boise State. And then Murrieta, this time Dorset Stecker down the middle, breaks a tackle, carries a couple defenders with him, so they're explosive on offense. We talk about Dorset in the backfield, but I asked Coach Heddick, he's so good at receiver. He says, we'll use him where we need to use him. And they obviously needed him at receiver on that play. Okay, more Brady Annette. This time to J.J. Haley. Play action, slant pattern, gets those arms out in front, gets a touchdown. Gets a little throw down there, but I think that's more frustration on the defense because they knew they were in trouble. This time, defense. Damien, Zeno, Herrera, and Ashan Habib are just going to disrupt the offensive line, making plays in the backfield. I mean, Rancho Verde is trying to get that ground game going, but they're not only making no yards, they're going backwards. So good defense. It's going to get the ball back to CDM's offense. And once again, Brady Annette showing off his running skills, pulls it, shakes one defender, bounces the outside. Can he get in there? Yes, he can. Dives for that pylon, gets a touchdown, 21-0. CDM starting to pull away. And just before half, Annette, again, play action. Dorset Stecker, post down the middle. One-on-one coverage just beats him. It's just too easy. I mean, this was an offensive clinic. So they go into, no, I'm sorry, we're still in the first quarter. So if you're a few minutes late, the game's pretty much over. It's 28-0. Now we're in the second quarter. More defense. I want you to watch linebacker Alexander Nicken and Dylan Nichols coming off the edge and coming up the middle. Pressure from everywhere. They just could not get their ground game going. And, you got 10 defenders, 9 on the ball carrier. Nice team defense. All right. Closing in on half. Annette's going to find J.J. Haley on the go route. 35-0. In full control. Still in the second quarter. J.J. Haley, again, look at the respect the defender's giving him. I mean, that's just too much cushion. With that kind of space, he can catch it and pick up a lot of yards after catch. So he's kind of a new guy to the varsity, having a good game. And then to cap off the first half, Annette to Stecker. Too easy. Catches the ball in traffic. It was 41-0 at half. They'd go on to win at 46-0. By the way, we added a new feature this year. We're reaching out to the coaches on Saturdays to see if they want to do some interviews. Coach Heddig was one of the guys we talked about. It's a little bit longer versus the postgame interviews we typically would do. And he made a special request. He said, and I'd already shut the game off at halftime because I knew it was a wipeout. He said, you got to find one play for me. And so I've got the Coach Heddig cut, and I want to show you that real quick. And here it is. Okay, so this is sophomore running back Trajan Nixon. And he asked us to show up because this is kind of just a special play. If I was breaking down this game, I would have turned it off at this point and gone to the next play. Play's over, blow the whistle. But you tell your players, do not stop until you hear a whistle blow. And this is why. A 2-yard loss becomes a 5-yard gain, becomes a 10-yard gain, becomes a 15-yard gain. They're still moving. This is like, is this football or rugby? Look at this. The sideline's going crazy. 2-yard loss becomes a 22-yard gain. Great effort by the players. So anyway, that was a special request by Coach Heddig. And if you want to see those coaches' interviews, I don't think they're posted yet, but we're sending them to our website, sunsetrewind.com, and you can see more in-depth, more detailed analysis by the coaches. Those are about 7-minute interviews. So check that out once they're posted. All right, Dole, thoughts?
So
you were here, by the way.
I happened to be right standing on the sideline right where that play happened, and that was even more epic to see it in person than it was on film. And film
Sometimes
was
film
awesome.
doesn't give it justice.
It was amazing. So observations about Corona Del Mar, obviously a good win, coming out and get the 41-6 victory to start the season off on the right foot. So we all know how good Annette is as a quarterback, and we know Stecker is one of the best wide receivers in all of Southern California. And those two are going to be pretty hard to stop this year. Now you factor in J.J. Haley. You're giving Annette another weapon. Oh, my goodness. So he's going to have – how are you going to stop them? Their air raid attack.
You can't double cover 3.
Right. You got Annette. Oh, there's Dorsett. And now I got J.J. Haley as well. So their offense is going to be really fun to watch this year, especially if you like offenses that throw the ball a lot, go to a CDM game. And the coaching staff, always wonderful. And like I said, that was their first game of the year. They kind of had the student section had like a neon thing going. It was their first week of school. It was, you talk about starting off a school year the right way. It was just awesome being at that Corona Del Mar game. Everything about it was fantastic.
Perfect. Teran, thoughts?
Well, Corona Del Mar has won their last 7 season openers. Their last season opening loss was against J. Sarah, which there's no shame in losing to. But something we also got to acknowledge, Brady Annette had a lot of time in the pocket to throw. So you got to give a shout to those big boys in front, the offensive line for CDM. And this is a pretty strong win, but it's still a long season. Next week or this week, they've got a big test against Santa Barbara on the road. I think the Sea King team is going to be really good. And something I didn't notice until I went on X is that Brady Annette is a 3-star quarterback, and he is a darn good 3-star quarterback. So buy your stock into Brady Annette whenever you can and however you can.
I agree. He looked so in control in the backfield. It just totally ran the offense the way it's supposed to be run. He found the wide open receivers. He made the throw. He showed he can run the ball. He's a special quarterback, so they're definitely going to be in good hands with him running the show. So good start for, we talked to Coach CDM after Coach Heddig on our interview. He invited us to go to the Santa Barbara game. He said he'd get us a room. We got to him by Tuesday. I'm so tempted to go up there to that game.
It is. And Santa Barbara is such a wonderful
Santa Barbara road
place.
trip. The problem is I got to break down all these games on Saturday. I just don't have the time, but I appreciate the offer, Coach. But all right,
and I have Tar TV, so I can't go.
Yeah, no. Well, we got other.
I'm still. I got to stay here.
It's tempting. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Anyway, let's move on. Mahalo. We are going to Hawaii.
Alamitos.
The Los Al Griffins 1-0 on the road against the number 3 team in the entire state. I'm just going to forewarn you, the cameraman. Sometimes you get good films, sometimes you don't. This guy, I don't know what they're paying him, but they're paying him too much because this guy did about as good of a job. Well, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought Ray Charles was filming this game. All right, let's start.
Dang.
Los Al on the road. Special teams would get it started early for them. Johnny Howe's going to get the block, pick it up. scoop and score. So Los Alamitos early. See, come on, cameraman, you got there. You go. I promise you, he scored. So Johnny House would get Los Al on the board early, 7-0 Griffins. But Kapolei would answer with a 30-yard strike. Down the middle, nice throw, nice catch. Can't do much about that. So it was 7-7 in the first quarter. Then my man, Lenny Ibarra, would call his own number, Wildcat, follow the big boys up front, get into the end zone. So now we're in the second quarter. Los Alamitos would take a 14-7 lead. Kapolei would tie it. Again, they're about to score. And look at this guy. He's filming the cheerleaders. So again, Kapolei did score and tied up out of jumbo, I guess. The scoreboard said they scored. So let's just go 14-14. Like I said, they're paying him way too. Even if he's working for free, it's too much. Okay. Right before half, Kapolei would do a little pooch kick. Great. I mean, the guy just kicked it perfectly, landed on the ground, got the bounce, so they recover it. So with about 23 seconds left, they'd have an opportunity to kick a field goal, and they would. So again, they had, usually when I get a huddle film, it's all on one reel. I've got to now go to another one, so bear with me. We're going to pick up action in the second half. Again, this guy making me look bad, but that's right. Where are we at? Okay, Kapolei would get the ball. They would score, so they're already up 17-14. They would extend their lead to 24-14, so has the chance to kind of pull away, but Los Al would answer. This time, Los Al would get into the end zone, so instead of being up 10, we got a 3-point ball game again. So back and forth, great game, but Kapolei once again would answer. But late in the game, interception, down 3. Los Alamitos has a chance to take the lead, and they would take advantage. Out of jumbo, toss right, down 3. They'll get in there, so Los Alamitos goes up 28-24, looking good, but Kapolei would come back. 28-24, quarterback's going to find his receiver. Wouldn't score on this play. They'd score on the next play, but guess what? They didn't have it on film. So let's go to late in the game. Los Alamitos is down 31-28. They would drive to tie the game with 28 seconds left. Lenny Ibarra, you got to have this. You talk about pressure, clutch, whatever. We got a tie ball game with 26 seconds left. Now, this is where it gets really weird. They had agreed before the game that if there's a tie, we're just going to end it in a tie. So Los Al kicks the field goal late, ties it up, getting out of there with a tie against the number 3 team, not so bad. So there's 16 seconds left. Kapolei is on their 5-yard line. I got to think they're just going to take a knee or do something very safe and conservative. The dumbest play in all of football, in my opinion, is when you throw that swing pass and you overhand throw it backwards. It's like a pitch, but instead of tossing it, he throws it, and guess what? They drop it. And guess who recovers? The force of freedom. Jackson Rambo Rango recovers with 16 seconds left on the 3-yard line. I don't know what they were thinking. So now Los Al, instead of getting out there with a tie, has a chance to kick the game-winning field goal for the win on the road against the number 3 team, and it's blocked. Los Alamitos. Oh, wait a minute. There was a false start. That play did not count. Back it up 5 yards. Let's try it again. Los Alamitos' penalty helped him. Lenny Ibarra for the winner on the road, puts it through. Los Alamitos finds a way to win the game 34-31 on the road. Despite poor camera filming, I was able to break this down as best I could. But you talk about a great win for Los Al. Take it away. Yeah, right?
Speechless. I mean, how does that happen? And then a false start saves you and gives you a second chance to win the game. I mean, yeah, you can watch a lot of football at any level, and you're not going to see that happen very often.
Why are they throwing the ball backwards on the 5-yard line? Like maybe I get Los Al's 20 yards deep. Maybe you run a draw and you break it, but you're not throwing the ball back. I mean, I'm dumbfounded.
I can't explain that.
And I will never question coaches because a lot of these guys have forgotten more than we'll ever know. And I respect how hard
and they're at practice
is.
Every day, and they know their personnel. But
man, games that you've got to know the down, the distance, the situation.
What I can explain though is the greatness of Lenny Ibarra. Boy, kicking field goals, making plays. The guy is just a stellar athlete, great person. Player. He's a special player, and there's a reason he is going to college where he is going. So great win for the Griffins, moving to 2-0.
Well, go ahead, Teran. What were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, where do I start with this one? First and foremost, you take what you can get when it comes to wins, especially out-of-state wins. It wasn't pretty. Los Alamitos was down double digits, but they never folded. I would say that maybe most teams would fold when they're on the road, out of state, against one of the better teams in that said state. But Los Alamitos, their defense answered the call. Their offense really got it going. Last week, they only put up 20. This week, they were able to put up 34. And honestly, I think this Los Alamitos team is starting to come into their own because they're playing a tough schedule, and they're 2-0 to start. They've already beaten a good Inglewood team who's not known for dropping season openers, and they took down a previously undefeated Kapolei team on the road. So this Los Al team is starting to fly under the radar, and I think we all got to start.
Oh, I think they're above the radar now.
Yeah.
I think they got their attention. You're right, Teran.
Yeah, they got Narbonne this week. It's a Thursday game, so we'll see what happens. Thankfully for Los Al, they won't have to travel out of state anymore. But very good win by Los Al. Just outstanding performance by them and great comeback.
So
I'd say I owe them. Go ahead, Dole.
no, go ahead.
I'd say I owe them a big apology because I live in Los Al. All my neighbors are asking me, how are they going to be this year? And I've been saying, they've got a good team, but I don't know how good their record's going to be just because of the scheduling strength. Inglewood was a top 20 team. Kapolei was number 3 in the whole state of Hawaii. Narbonne are the defending state champions, are CIF champions. I haven't even gotten into Alpha League play, and here they are winning week after week. They're the real deal.
And don't forget about that big break they have in the middle of the season.
Yeah. And by the way, going to Hawaii, they got to play a bowl game.
Yeah.
The day after the game, they did a luau. They're not coming back till Sunday. What a fun trip, and what a great start. Good time to be a Griffin.
So, with that being said, Teran, what did we miss?
Well, for starters, Mo, you said that HB was played at Orange High, El Medina High.
Thank you, Teran.
And it was 35-18, not 35-12.
Thank you, Teran.
And that extra point in the Murrieta Mesa game, that first extra point was actually doinked and not blocked. So you had that right there. And then it's Marcella, not Marsala. This isn't chicken we're talking about.
I had that for dinner last night. It was stuck in my head. Angelo's in Seal Beach. I literally had chicken marsala. Thank you for that. That's a correction I can live with.
That's great, Teran.
I don't mind you
That's
splitting hairs,
awesome.
but that's...
And then it's Glenn Baranowski. Glenn Baranowski.
What did I say?
You said Ben Baranowski or Glenn Baranowski.
Hey, man, there's a lot of names to remember. I'm telling you, this is not an easy gig. But
I'm going to have to remember a lot of these names when I do TAR TV.
Well, thank you for correcting me.
And then for the CDM game, you said 46-0, 41-6.
Can I self-correct one, Teran?
Sure.
I believe I said the Mitch Olson era began on a Friday. I think the
Thursday.
Right, the Fountain Valley game was on
Friday
Thursday,
Night Lights,
wasn't it?
Thursday afternoon.
It began
Lights.
last week.
Yeah.
Hey, great week. Remember to like and subscribe.
We're like
Nearly
two away
at
from
2,000.
2,000
Yeah,
subs.
we're trying to get to 10,000. So like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on all the social media outlets. And be sure to stop by sunsetrewind.com. A lot of good content on there. The guys on that website do a wonderful job. But yeah, please like and subscribe. We're really trying to get to 10,000.
Support high school football.
And support all high school sports in general. We're not just covering football. We're covering volleyball. Soon going to be covering tennis. Going to be covering water polo, flag football, you name it.
We're going to have all this good stuff for you on Sunset Rewind on YouTube and the website. Hey, thanks to James Krupe, our producer, for putting
Big
together
game,
another
James. Waking up
great
early
show.
on a Sunday.
Teran, as always, and the best in the business. Mo Padios at Breaking Down Game Film. There's nobody better than Coach Padios at doing that. So great job again.
James is probably better. Look at him. He looks like he's been clubbing all night. What'd you do last night, James? He doesn't want to say. All right, we'll talk off air.
So we'll be back next week with another great lineup of games for you. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.
Fan Zone tomorrow. Check it out.